Good morning, third years. This academic year 2021 is starting with the online class. We know the entire world is suffering from pandemic, and therefore we do not know when the colleges are going to reopen, and therefore we take this initiative of taking an online class to keep you engaged so that you don't keep loitering always and keep in touch with your studies. I suppose you would have seen the syllabus uploaded. There are 5 papers in third year. Unlike the previous 2 years where you had language and allied, all the 5 papers this time round will be major papers. From morning till the forenoon, evening, you will be only having your major classes. All papers are not that easy, and particularly the one which I am going to handle, electricity and magnetism, is a bit difficult paper. Not that it's not manageable. If you can study right from the beginning, listen to what I say, definitely you can do it well. But this chapter, this particular paper involves quite a lot of mathematics, and therefore you need to be good at it. And there are 5 units in this paper. The first unit is electrostatics. I am going to handle that unit 1. The third unit being electromagnetic induction and alternating current, and the other unit I am going to handle is magnetic effects of electric current. I believe 1, 3 and 4 are the 3 units which I am going to handle. At the outset, I would make it very clear that certainly it's not possible for me to dictate notes in the class. I doubt whether I will be able to give you any notes as well, but whatever I do in the class, I will do to the best of my ability. If you can listen, yes, and go through books, definitely you will feel all this paper to be very easy. Okay, our syllabus starts with Coulomb's inverse square law. So I can't be starting straight away with Coulomb's inverse square law. Therefore, the chapter being electrostatics, it talks about electric charges at rest. In other words, this chapter talks about static charges. The first question now that comes to mind is, what is an electric charge? So the first question we need to answer is this. Therefore, I would say electric charge is a characteristic that accompanies fundamental particles. Then you may ask me, what are fundamental particles? I would say protons, neutrons, electrons, all these are fundamental particles. We go to a little bit of lower classes. When I say a particle, certainly these particles will have mass. For example, if you take mass of an electron, it will be 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilogram. If you take mass of proton, 1.672 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram. If you take mass of a neutron, 1.674 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram. All these things you have studied in lower classes. What am I going to tell you now? Newton's law of gravitation. If you take 2 particles, point masses separated by a distance, there exists a force of attraction between those two point particles, point masses. There is a force of attraction. Now, if you take two protons, okay, or two electrons, for example, let me take two electrons. If two electrons are separated by a distance of 1 centimeter, the gravitational force of attraction comes out to 5.5 into 10 power minus 67 Newton. Please listen carefully. I have taken two electrons. They are separated by a distance of 1 centimeter, and the gravitational force of attraction between these two electrons is this much. Important point to note, over and above this gravitational force of attraction between two electrons, this is between two electrons. F suffix G stands for gravitational force. Over and above these gravitational force of attraction between two electrons, there exists a very strong repulsive force as well. The repulsive force is 2.3 into 10 power minus 24 Newton. This force is attractive. This force is repulsive. You must be in a position to visualize what I am trying to tell here. Two electrons separated by a distance of 1 centimeter, they are experiencing a gravitational force of attraction of this much. The same electrons, when they are separated by a distance of 1 centimeter, experience a electric force which is repulsive in nature. Now, if you look carefully, which is greater? Don't go with this value of 5.5 or 2.3. Look at the path. This is minus 67 and this is minus 24. Minus letters chinnadu, which means the gravitational force is very, very small. The repulsive electric force that exists between electrons is very, very strong. Now, instead of two electrons, if I replace an electron with a proton, this much of attractive force is taking place between a proton and electron. Do I experience this with neutrons, any repulsive force or any electric force, in other words? Neutrons, among neutrons, there is a gravitational force of attraction arising due to masses, whereas there is no electric force between neutrons. Point becomes very clear. Between electrons there is an electric force. Between protons there is an electric force. Between protons and electrons there is an electric force. No such force exists between neutrons, which means of these fundamental particles, protons and electrons possess an additional property which of electric force. Additional property for protons and electrons, which gives rise to the strong electric force. That property possessed by protons and electrons, I call it as electric charge. The point should be clear now that electric charge is there for protons, is there for electrons, is not there for neutrons. And that's the reason why between two protons, between two electrons, between protons and electrons. There is a strong repulsive between proton and electron, a strong attractive electric force. So let us now try to put that in a nutshell. How do I put it? Additional property of protons and electrons which gives rise to a strong electric force. We call it as electric charge. Finish. As simple as that. Or in other words, I can also say charge. Charge is that property of matter, or particle due to which they interact electrically. So protons and electrons interact electrically. Neutrons do not interact electrically, which means neutrons do not possess a charge. Electrons and protons do possess an electric charge, and that's the reason why they interact electrically. In other words, these two possess an additional property which gives rise to this electric charge. An electric force, we call that property as electric charge, and neutrons do not carry any charge. Is that clear to you? Having talked about what electric charge is, we go to the next step of seeing what are the types of charges. Please have a notebook with you and a pen, so that while you keep listening, you also may take down notes. Only that will be helpful to you. Okay? Now, there are two kinds of charges. For example, if I take a glass rod rubbed with silk. I suppose you understand this. All these you would have studied in plus 2 as well. I am taking a glass rod, rubbing with silk. After some time, I find glass rod becomes positively charged, silk becomes negatively charged. Sir, how do you know, sir? If I take glass rods, two glass rods, rub them with silk, after some time bring two glass rods together, they will repel. If I bring a glass rod with silk, they will get attracted, which means the charges possessed on these is opposite in nature. Therefore, I find glass rod and silk, when they are rubbed, glass rod is becoming positively charged and silk is becoming negatively charged, which means very clear the two kinds of charges are, one is positive, the other one is negative. Now, you may ask me a question, sir, why is that when glass rod is rubbed with silk, glass rod is becoming positive and silk is becoming negative? Why not the other way around? The answer is simple. When you are rubbing, for example, if you rub your palm like this, don't you feel warmth there? Which means some heat is supplied, some form of energy is supplied. So when glass rod is rubbed with silk, whatever energy you give is sufficient to make electrons in the glass rod get transferred into silk. So removing the electron from a substance, you require certain amount of energy. In physics, you call that as work function. You call it as work function. What is this work function? Minimum energy required to remove an electron from the surface of a substance, metal. You call it as work function. So glass rod is losing electrons, silk is gaining electrons in this case. Obviously, I would say in glass rod, electrons are less attracted to the nucleus than silk. Or in other words, glass rod work function is less than silk, and therefore when you rub glass rod with silk, it becomes easy for the electrons in the glass rod to get transferred to silk, because glass rod loses electrons, becomes positive, silk gains electrons, becomes negative, and therefore for a positively charged particles, if number of protons is greater than number of electrons, certainly it must be positively charged. If Np is less than Ne, it must be negatively charged. Therefore, what I would like to tell you here is, for all electricity, the moment a material loses electrons and becomes charged, I call it as electrified. When a substance loses electrons, becomes positively charged, I call that substance as electrified. Therefore, for electrification of a substance, electrons are responsible. This is a very important point. Now, classification. Sir, classification of the electrons into positive and negative, or the property that differentiates a charge as positive, a charge as negative, I call it as polarity. See, nobody is going to ask you a question as to what polarity is, but having come to third year, when you are studying this much of electricity, you need to know what polarity is. Therefore, I am telling you that property which differentiates a positive and a negative charge, you call it as polarity. So with this simple example, which you have already studied in plus 2, you would have understood that electrification, for all electrification of a substance, electrons are responsible. If a substance loses electrons, becomes positively charged. If it gains electrons, becomes negatively charged. From here, we will try to move and see what are conductors and insulators. Substances which readily allow charges to pass through it, flow through a material, you call it as a conductor. In simplest term, a material in which free charge is available. Free charge is available. That substance which allows charges to pass through it, or in which free charge is available, you call it as a conductor. When charge is given to a conductor, that charge will get distributed uniformly throughout the surface of a conductor. It will not get concentrated at one point. It will get distributed throughout the surface of that conductor. On the other